There it is. It's starting on the stream. And now come over here. Sorry, it's still a little bit, I still have to do some fine-tuning. But here we go.
Well, I remember a teacher that I had. Now, I went through the 7th grade. I went to the 7th grade. I left home when I was 10 years old because I was hungry. And I used to, this is true. I work in the summer and I go to school in the winter. But I had this one teacher. He was the principal of the Harrison School in Vincennes, Indiana. To me, this was the greatest teacher, a real sage of my time, anyhow. He had such wisdom. And we were all reciting the Pledge of Allegiance one day. And he walked over, this little old teacher, Mr. Laswell was his name. Mr. Laswell, and he says, I've been listening to you boys and girls recite the Pledge of Allegiance all semester, and it seems as though it's becoming monotonous to you. If I may I recite it and try to explain to you the meaning of each word? I, me, an individual, a committee of one, pledge, dedicate all of my worldly goods to give without self-pity, allegiance, my love and my devotion, to the flag, our standard, Old Glory, a symbol of freedom. Wherever she waves, there's respect, because your loyalty has given her a dignity that shouts, freedom is everybody's job. United. That means that we have all come together. States, individual communities that have united into 48 great states. 48 individual communities with pride and dignity and purpose. All divided with imaginary boundaries, yet united to a common purpose, and that's love for country. And to the republic, a state in which sovereign power is invested in representatives chosen by the people to govern. And government is the people, and it's from the people to the leaders, not from the leaders to the people, for which it stands. One nation, meaning so blessed by God, indivisible, incapable of being divided, with liberty, which is freedom, the right of power to live one's own life without threats, fear, or some sort of retaliation, and justice, the principle or qualities of dealing fairly with others. For all, which means, boys and girls, it's as much your country as it is mine. And now, boys and girls, let me hear you recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Since I was a small boy, 2 states have been added to our country, and 2 words have been added to the Pledge of Allegiance: under God. Wouldn't it be a pity if someone said that is a prayer and that would be eliminated from schools too?
All right, you are listening to the disclaimers by Davidlee Buess and Edward Johnston. Today is July 31st, 2017, and it is currently 5:05 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Take it away, Ed.
Thank you. This is Ed Johnston, and Dave and I'd like to thank you for joining us. We will make it clear, and compared to some of the stuff that's been flying around Facebook, Dave and I are not lawyers. We are not attorneys. So quit going off with these people who are trying to confuse people, because the attorneys out there are trying to do this. We have people out there that are claiming to be, you know, judges, lawyers, and attorneys and stuff, doing this stuff, claiming these things against Dave and I. And I am no judge. I am not part of the what they call the Continental Judges or whatever movement that they're trying to do. Okay, Continental is British structure if you do the history. We are not to have anything with the British government at all. And Dave will explain that one here when he gets on. This is the point that people have to realize, this fact and reality. This is not a joke. This is fact. Okay, like in the state of Oregon, they want to turn the state of Oregon over to the British government. They are changing the Constitution of Oregon right when we speak. You have to realize they're doing this in their state. They do not care about you. They don't love you. They will lie to you, and you accept lies. You know, just like preachers, they lie. Cops, they lie. State attorney generals, they lie. District attorneys, House of Representatives, they lie. House of Representatives says that they represent you. You're not entitled to be a free thinker. Think about this, folks. Churches in the Midwest were putting up on their church structures saying a free thinker is a dangerous man. Read the Bible. They were actually putting this stuff up, saying a free thinker is a dangerous man and read the Bible. To me, the Bible creates dangerous men, non-coherent men, men that don't protect their families, men who don't even care about their communities. It's all about the Constitution, the Bible. They don't know the difference. And when people start going by the Bible instead of the Constitution and says, oh, the Bible says this, the Bible says that, and we should go by the Bible, you're scaring your children, because the Constitution gives you the rights and freedoms. 100% gives you the freedom. Okay? If you don't have the Constitution, you don't have freedom or the knowledge of the Constitution. You have no freedom. With the Bible, gives no freedom. Literally, read the Bible. It gives you no freedom. You know, and the Constitution gives you freedom. We are the only place in existence in the universe that has freedom. Nobody else in the universe has freedom but the 48 states. Okay, and we do thank Red Skelton. Remember, Red Skelton was an immigrant. He said it from the heart. He said even God wasn't even used in our structure until 1969. Okay? They didn't change it, Pledge Allegiance. They didn't use it in common floors. And that happened when the Democratic Party in 1967 took over the House. So it's comprehending and learning real history of what's going on. And that's the point, that we need to know real history. You know, a lot of people don't even know what real history is. You know, I posted up on our sites, and I'm going to be posting up a thing with a gentleman with Michael School posted some stuff, and I'm going to be posting that on our sites here in a little bit after I get some of these other flyers out. Okay? I'll be posting up his case, you know, a traveling case. We're going to be discussing this gentleman up in Alaska, dealing with Channel 13 News that put this out. And yes, I never was able to talk to the gentleman. I wish I was able to let him know some things, and I'm going to be getting into that here in a second. Because remember, elected and public servants, registered church members, do not work for you. They don't. Unless they honor their constitutional privileges of oath. And that's why we recommend you asking to see if they're registered and filed, asking for their CV numbers, asking to see what they have registered in the House and Senate, to see that they're registered in the county clerk's office. Okay, and the reason why I'm telling you this, it's your responsibility. You know, it's like this Alaskan case where this judge says that they realize that this, I'm going to get into here right now, I've got this posted on our sites too, that police are rent-a-cops. Police officers are rent-a-cops. They have no actual authority unless you personally consent and give them authority. A judge, a black robe judge, and if you've ever heard of the black robe, what they call priest, that's exactly what you have in these courtrooms. Exactly are black robe priests. So their job is to sit there and make income for the Vatican. That's their true job. Their job is not justice and fairness. That is not their employment. And if you read the structure I put on that, and you can go to our sites, and I will let you know our sites. First one is the United States for America, Elected and Public Servants Oversight Committees. And you can go on and read the structure on the police departments. The real structure on the police departments. Okay, I wrote the whole thing up, as me and Dave say. We wrote it, they wrote it, I mean. The lawful bloodline Americans quote it. That's you too, if you're lawful bloodline. Even if you're an immigrant, so long as that you're doing it legally and you are registered with the Foreign Registration Trade Commission. You know, that is the whole point. It's up to you to be responsible for your children, your area. You don't have a right to tell the neighbor if he's smoking a joint you don't like it when he's on his property. You don't have the right to look over the fence and see if he's drinking a booze drink and say, I'm against booze because of my religion, you can't drink. You know, this is the point, that you cannot do this stuff because the Constitution gives men and women equal rights. And if we don't respect each other, and that's the problem we've got, you know, in this country, is people don't respect each other. They don't respect their children. They don't respect their parents. Of course, some parents are very uneducated, and they put you in problems, put you in situations, and we know that. And it's knowing who to trust and who not to trust. But see, that comes down to you knowing the circumstances. That is your responsibility to know this. So anyhow, I want to turn the floor over here in a minute to Dave, and then when I get the floor back, I'm going to start reading some stuff about real laws. I post this up on the other site we have, Civil War 1866 Lawful Bloodline Americans. You can read the actual laws of traveling. You can read the actual federal law, says you don't need to register your vehicle. You don't need insurance. But these men and women on police officers do it deliberately for financial gain, you know. And that is a deal that is going on right now. They are doing this for financial gain. They don't care about you. Attorneys and judges are registered with the British government. Okay, we have two governments since the 1871 war contract, after the Civil War. That became the battle with the North and the South. The South was the British government, the North was freedom. Okay, and this is all in congressional records, all in congressional history. The North wasn't going to pay property taxes. We weren't going to pay access taxes and all this. Because I even in 1990 was arguing that in public hearings for people outside of the city limits to pay property taxes. This was in 1990, folks. So, and this is in Oregon Territory. So, you know, people go, oh, it's been going on for years. No, a lot of this stuff has not been going on. The Democrats right now are rewriting history. 2000, the Democrats and Republicans changed the Oregon Coast, or the Oregon Constitution, to say, oh, we're a democracy and we're supposed to pay taxes, which is a lie. We are not to pay taxes. Okay? It's all a blunt lie. And that is the point that people need to pay attention to these circumstances, to know what the truth is. Look at the truth and comprehend what the truth is. Okay? I mean, if I don't see it, I don't believe it. Okay? I mean, there's things that I believe in, and the First Amendment gives me my rights, and the First Amendment gives you your rights. My right is the right to travel without permission from any man, woman, child, or any agency. Okay? I don't have to ask permission. And, oh, you need a driver's license, so we need to know if you know how to drive. Well, I don't drive. I travel. And if you go back in real history, the parents' responsibilities and liability was to teach children. We didn't start really having driver's ed and all this in the West Coast until the 1980s, when they actually had simulators and teaching them in school. Okay, and then the school would take us out and teach us how to drive at that point. Okay, and it was free. It wasn't where it was a cost-effective thing for people to go out and pay all these ridiculous funds. Okay, and a debt note. Look at the real history of government of debt. When you use a debt note, that is the British debt note. The British government went in debt to we, the people, the lawful bloodline Americans. And that is real history, but nobody reads real history beside me and Dave, and we all got other people that are joining us now, comprehending what real history is compared to what they've taught or what they've been led to believe. And a lot of this stuff is on new.organtrackers.com, our website, you know, and then Dave has the old Tax Fraud in America on Facebook, not the other one. His on Facebook will walk you through tax structures. Okay, we have it and we can prove where taxes are voluntary. I actually have myself, I have the laws that I'm putting in this other affidavit I'm writing up that will prove that it says by the IRS code that only lawful bloodline Americans are exempt from taxes. Immigration, registered church members, registered voters, and all immigrants, mandatory to pay. Okay? That is the main deal. The other point is, by law of the March 9th, 1933 Bankruptcy Act, is all elected and public employees and contractors are mandatory to pay taxes. You know, and there's a wonderful video on that. That is called Theft by Deception, but me and Dave will set up a deal on that coming up here in time to discuss taxes. I think we might do that probably 4 or 5 weeks down the road. We'll just do one thing to walk everybody through taxes. Literally, we'll just walk you right through taxes. You know, so if you're lawful, we'll explain the structure, and if you're legal, we'll explain the structure on that too. The whole point is proper education. We've been denied proper education in this country because if we had proper education, we wouldn't have the public funding as they claim. And so, you know, even with driver's license and traveling, you don't pay for this drug. Technically, it's already prepaid. And even the Supreme Court has even stated that it's prepaid. And that's the one thing that most do not read this stuff or comprehend. And I'll give you a couple court cases here in a minute, because I want Dave to read some stuff and go off on his point, and then when I get back on mine, I'll start reading the laws on the state of Oregon and federal laws on the rights of travel, and then we're going to get into this public servant literally threatening this man's life at gunpoint. Okay, and the district attorney even admitted on News 13 in Alaska that they have no authority. That includes all cops have no authority. They are public servants. They are registered public servants. They are rent-a-cops. I've been one several times. I've been a bodyguard. I worked at nightclubs protecting people. And this is how it really works. And people don't get it. And they think that they have a right to call the police. Well, if you look at the federal laws and type this in when you get a chance, and it's been on our sites, and eventually we'll get it. We'll have it in the other affidavit, and I have it in my affidavit that's posted up on the website dealing with police departments in the structure, is that police work for the city council, they work for the mayor, and they are debt collectors for the IRS. That is their job. They are not supposed to have contact, like with this gentleman assaulting this man on his ATV and his family. They're not supposed to have contact with the public. That's their job. They're not supposed to be in the public view, technically. Their job is to go after code enforcer and statute violators. And that means elected and public servants, registered church member, registered voters, and all immigration. And that's what the law really is. You know, and we have to go by what the law is, not by a statute, code, and administration. You know, my neighbor's lawn is too high, so now I got to go bitch to him because the lawn is too high. Well, that's a shame. And if you're tired of the lawn being high and the guy's disabled or elderly and got medical problems, why don't you get off your lazy butt and go help the disabled guy? And people go, oh, there's funding, even for transportation. That's a lie. The state employees are pocketing the money like they do all the structures. They pocket it. So, I mean, and that is one of the valuable points that is going on in our country today. These men and women are pocketing the money for personal gain. They are stealing from you. When you go in and pay your DMV registration fees, and you go pay this stuff that you are doing, okay, it's supposed to go back to the lawful bloodline Americans. As far as the Bankruptcy Act, when you read the whole congressional act, and not only that, we do have the 400-page fraud that they did. But my main goal is I want to start reading the laws on the rights to travel and how this man assaulted him. And when you go through these things, you do not write the criminal charges. You are the one that has to write the criminal charges on these men and women. The state attorney general, and I even have it from Oregon State Attorney General, that says it's legal for cops to assault. So that is the one point. They claim it's legal for them to assault and murder you. So that's the same thing when you got public servants doing this. And they're claiming that these people are gods. They're claiming that we're out protecting the world. When I was going into law enforcement, and that was my fantasy until I got into it and I realized the real truth. You know, and when you do get a public servant who honor their oath of office, please pass it on. Let others know he's honoring his service. So we need to protect and pat those on the back that are honoring their elected and public servants' oath of Title 5, 331 through 3333. It's our responsibility to pay attention to these structures. So I'm going to let Dave get into it, and then I'm going to come back and get into the laws of what the laws actually are on this structure, the rights to travel, because we have a right to travel as long as you're lawful bloodline. There is confusion with some, but, you know, everybody says, oh, we're here and it's all God stuff. Well, the Constitution was not written in God. God didn't have a lot of structure. They've been rewriting history books, putting God into a lot of structure of history books that was never there. So, and this is the point. When they did the money in 1933, prior to that, it wasn't God we trust or anything. It was called the greenback notes. Totally different things that were put on the money back then in the 1850s compared to today. So anyhow, Dave, the floor is yours, and then I'll come back and read some actual laws for some folks.
Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. I inadvertently took a day off last week and left Ed stuck with the show.
Yeah, I wasn't stuck with it.
Again,
I just enjoyed it.
We had a very interesting time. Michelle and I are currently together at my home working against and the banking industry for land theft, bank fraud, paper mill notes. We have been uncovering a great deal of information. If you ever get in the mood to check and see if you have a lien on your house, today I asked to have a post put on our website, New Oregon Trackers, to where you can actually use those links to check out your home to see if you have a fraudulent lien on it. The IRS are doing the same thing the banking industry is doing to steal your home. So if you haven't checked for a while, you need to get on New Oregon Trackers and check those links out. Michelle and I spent about, half a day today?
Half a day.
Half a day.
More than that.
Going through web page after web page after web page to come up with those three little lines. So if you're ever in doubt as to whether or not they have placed an unlawful mortgage on you or a lien, you need to put these things someplace where you have quick access to them and check it out. So with that being said, I want to get into right to travel. Many of you people do not know that on the web, if you Google right to travel, all the rulings of the Supreme Court in that case will come up. And you do not need a driver's license. You do not need registration. You do not need title. Because is the state buying your car or are you buying your car? So what right do they, the state, have to register your car in their name? Because that's exactly what they're doing. It's called ID theft. So what I have done is I leased a vehicle several years ago, and they put a temporary 30-day plate on it. Well, I never applied for a license, but what I did was I put a 3-inch stencil across the bottom of it, right to travel. Now, this vehicle has been twice to Dallas, Texas. It's been to Arizona, Nevada, Colorado, Nevada, back to Oklahoma, New Mexico, Illinois, Indiana, Missouri, Florida, and all the states related, Kentucky, Tennessee, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Vermont, New York, and Washington, D.C., and never an arrest made. So, on your vehicle, just 3-inch stencil, right to travel. And don't go register it or renew it or anything. Right to travel. The cop stops you. You say, "Well, good morning, officer. What is your emergency?" At that point, he has to tell you because he cannot use his little flashers and woo-woos to pull you over for a non-emergency. So you just merely ask him, "What is your emergency I can help you with?" And he will give you some line of crap, and you say, "Excuse me, officer, what emergency may I help you with?" And the more he says, you just keep repeating that. And pretty soon he will get the message that you know that you have a right to travel, and he cannot pull you over any under circumstances. we have so much of this fraud going on. Like Ed said, this is nothing but a rape, rob, and pillage to get money from you for something you're not required to do. You're already paying for the road. You're already paying for the building construction, all the stuff that goes into it. Excuse me, I have a terrible cough. And what they don't want you to know is the truth. So Google right to travel on the internet and print out that ruling by the Supreme Court and carry it with you, because when Dodo Birds pulls you over for some stupid reason, you will have the court case to shove in his face and say, my fee schedule is $100,000 an hour with a 4-hour minimum. Now, if you're planning on arresting me or detaining me, the time starts right now, and I have a minimum 4 hours, which means I'm going to lean you, officer, up for $400,000. And you will not be able to eat breakfast until you pay me $400,000. If he insists on giving you a ticket, you do not sign it, but you take it, say thank you, and then you take it down to the state treasury's office and cash it in, and the officer will therefore be made to pay your ticket. So once you comprehend all the little goody details of right to travel, you will be in good hands. You also need to get yourself a copy of Hale versus Hinkle, and that is on our website, which states that you have the right to contract without government interference. And the Supreme Court used that over 100 times last year. So anybody who tells you that is null and void, blah, 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 tell them prove it. Because that is alive and well. So Michelle and I were doing some investigation today on Internal Revenue Service, because it seems like they lie so much, it's just incomprehensible. They have forms for everything they do, and what you have to do now is to get into their structure and find the right form. Here's one we came across today. It's called Instruction on How to Apply for Certificate of Discharge from Federal Tax Liens. And it is a publication, 783, revised, 6/2010, catalog number 467551. And it is of the Department of Treasury, Internal Revenue Service. And I would remind you all that the IRS is a division of the IMF, International Monetary Fund, and they are unregistered foreign agents. And they seem to think, contrary to popular demand, that they have the right to run wild in the United States, these union states, and not live up to the Constitution or rulings of the Supreme Court. So everything they do, as far as a bloodline American sovereign, is fraud and inducement, because we are a republic and we have the right to a republican form of government. Let's see here. Under Section 5 of this document I just named to you is lender finance company information. Settlement escrow company for Section 6325, round brackets B, and round brackets 3 only. Enter the company name, contract name, and the phone number for the title or escrow company that will be using and used at settlements, excuse me. So here again, they're letting you know up front that it's a company, an escrow company that they use. So if you are a corporation, you fall under IRS tax code. But if you are an individual, private individual, a bloodline American, everything they do to you is fraud and inducement. Everything. They counterfeit your 1040 debt, and that was ruled, 1040 was ruled of no standing in law in U.S. versus Lear, U.S. District Court in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So the Form 1040 is an entrapment to get you to fill out their form. And the way they get you is I under penalty of perjury, and then you put your John Henry underneath there. So what you need to do is where it says I under penalty of perjury, you just put I and then scratch out under penalty of perjury, because the rest of it explains exactly what it is you're doing. When does the IRS ever tell you when they contact you that, oh, under penalty of perjury, I solemnly swear to tell the truth? These people wouldn't know the truth if it kicked them in the butt. Mm-hmm. So they're improperly trained. They don't realize that rulings of the highest court in this land apply to the IRS code. The IRS code is only good and valid for the federal zone, which is Washington, D.C., New York City, New York, and the holding territories belonging to the United States. Anything written for the Union States must be constitutional. Must be. So the federal corporation, a scam, a sham process, mind you, is of foreign agents, unregistered foreign agents. So we have the IRS, a division of the IMF. They are unregistered foreign agents running amok out of Puerto Rico, a holding territory belonging to the United States. So if you are thinking about your taxes, file your 1040X forms and get your money back. So that just about covers what I have to say so far on the IRS. Now, there was another form that Michelle and I came across, and it dealt with a letter that I received from Financial Management Services. And what they have done is they have taken my Social Security number and barcoded it. Now, that is a violation of law, Title 42 at 48A8. That's punishable by 5 years in jail. So we are going to meet with the FBI, and we will be filing the criminal charges against the IRS for identity theft and personage, all that good stuff. So we also came across something on jurisdiction and venue relating to the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. It says this court has jurisdiction under the Federal Fair Debt Collections Practices Act, and that's abbreviated as FDCPA, 15 USC at 1692K, and pursuant to supplemental jurisdiction 28 USC at 1367. Venue is proper in this judicial District pursuant to 28 U.S.C. 1391, round brackets, small c. Plaintiff's action for declaratory relief is authorized by 28 U.S.C. at 2201 and 2202. So that goes into, I was trying to remember the court case. Let me see if I can find it here. Hold on. Where is it? There, here, here, right here. Case number 13CH1528, and that is the case that Michelle won in the state of Florida against her bankers. So you can go to that court case and dig up the information. There's also a lot of other good information on that court case, which a lot of people haven't comprehended yet. But she exposed the entire racket of the bank racketeering and the mortgage lenders and the paper mill notes and the real estate people. So be careful out there. They are out to entrap you and to nail you. So, let's see. Was there something else I wanted to bring up?
I think you wanted to bring up Sinner, didn't you? About the brokers? Sinner, about the brokers?
Well, as a financial industry regulatory authority, that's round bracketed FINRA, is a self-regulatory agency for stockbrokers in the United States. It sets rules for brokers and hosts most of the arbitration between investors and brokers. FINRA was created July 2007 and took over the duty of the old National Association of Securities Dealers, NASD. Securities and Exchange Commission is the main regulatory arm of the federal government in financial industry. It sets and enforces rules and is charged with the assuring the integrity of the market. The SEC, does not work for individual investors. It is concerned with the big picture question. So they are a regulatory commission that actually looks out for you, not the big company. And it's a necessary thing that we have these things in place, because every time we turn around we're being swindled. So it's nice to have a place to go to where we can say, hey, what's wrong with this picture? So keep those things in mind. Does anybody have any questions up to this point?
Lecture mode, so if they have any questions, they're muted, Dave.
Okay, do you want
you got to ask the floor up, Dave, for questionings.
All right, I'll go to Q&A, I guess.
Again, Ed?
Yeah, hit Q&A for a few minutes, and then we'll come back. Because maybe the gentleman that's involved...
Q&A session has started.
Go ahead.
So, would anybody like to bring a thought or a point in or something like that right now? Your floor is yours.
Okay. All participants are unmuted. Q&A session is over.
Anybody would like to speak up?
A lot of people do not realize that all these taxes and all these fees and all this stuff is covered by the Fair Debt Reduction Act. Government is funded 100%. Every loan taken out by a bank, excuse me, that you take out, I should say, there is a percentage of that loan that goes to finance government. All these sales tax, income tax, real estate tax are all a bunch of baloney. And anyone who votes for a school levy obviously doesn't comprehend the fact that, oh gee, government's already got it funded. That's why we make out a state budget and a federal budget. And they go together, and all the money that is needed for the year is funded through FD, Fair Debt Reduction Act.
The case is FDCPA Insurance Fund. So while your state public servants and representatives are raping you of your money, that budget is supposed to be spent on us, we the people. And as soon as you folks start accepting that and claiming your and our money, and that's for lawful bloodline Americans, that's off the March 9th, 1933 Bankruptcy Act. Go ahead, Dave.
And that also, now we're talking, since we're talking the 1933 Bankruptcy Act, we're talking HJR 192, which is Public Law 10, Chapter 48, 48 Stat 112, and 73-10, Chapter 40, 411. So what people need to comprehend is that's how you discharge your debt, is through the Paperwork Reduction Act, HJR 192, and revised now the public laws I just mentioned. And the bankers are starting to catch on to the fact that we now know this, and the Federal Reserve note was to only be passed between banks to balance their books. So if I wrote you a check from my Bank A, and you cashed at your Bank B got with Bank A, they transferred the funds. That's how it was all set up to be ran until they figured out that, oh, the American people are stupid, so we will swindle them with counterfeit debt. So that's how they do it. Now, Ed, excuse me, Ed also talked about the fact that we're to have nothing to do with the British government. So if you go back to the preamble of the Constitution and read the last paragraph of that document, it will very plainly state that this nation is to have nothing to do with the British. So if you explain to me why our courts, our judges, lawyers, attorneys are all controlled by the BAR, British Accreditation Registry, and Inn of Court Foundation, practicing British law in America by Fasudo Corporate Courts, oh boy, you're being swindled every time you walk into a courthouse, because by the preamble of the Constitution, we are to have nothing to do with those people. So they're trying to drag you into their jurisdiction no matter how they do it. Lie, cheat, steal, rape, whatever. So you have to keep those things in mind when you go to court. Color of law fraud scheme is never ending in this country. So do your homework before you go to court, folks. Be smart enough to stand up to that judge and ask him for his constitutional oath of office, because if you're a bloodline American, the only lawful court that you can be in is a constitutional court ran by a judge with a constitutional oath and bond. So if he tries to drag you into his jurisdiction, no, Your Honor. you need to give me your conflict of interest statement.
Explain that to him, Dave, what that means.
Conflict of interest means that that you have a qualified conflict. You are either traded, a partnership, or part of another entity which is running in conflict with the court. The judge is not the court. He is a trustee of the court. So if the judge gives you any crap, you say, "Look, I know you're not the court. You're acting as a defense attorney, which is a violation and treason against the Constitution. I will hold you accountable."
And contempt.
And contempt, yes. So when you get if you're going to, another thing that Michelle and I found out too was if you are going to go to court and you get the court papers, how to fill them out, you want to follow those directions to the T. In other words, if they say number 1 is jurisdiction, you want to write number 1, jurisdiction, and then you do your jurisdiction thing. Number 2, parties. You name yourself. You name the defendants. Hold on a minute. We're going to bring this up. Michelle's bringing this up now so I can just exactly show you how this is done.
Under the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure.
So give us a second here. Okay. Jurisdiction, A is jurisdiction. Jurisdiction is proper to this court in accordance with A, B, and C. And then you'd have to dig through 42 U.S.C. 1983, 1985, Constitutional Command 42 U.S.C. Section 1985, Criminal Action. The name of the plaintiff is number 2.
In the state of.
And then you list your name, address, mailing address, phone number, all that kind of stuff. Okay? Then you move on down.
Plaintiff.
Oh, the plaintiffs is also under 2, and accepts and bonds of all officers of this court of records, and moves this honorable court to squash, for lack of authority. The state has no authority to act on behalf of the people. Only a jury can so act under the presence of law. Or pretense of law, excuse me.
That's the
14th Amendment, Section 1. People are the supreme, not the state. Then you go to Part B, name the defendants. Certificate of service goes under that.
I
certify that a copy of the foregoing was provided by certified mail to, and then you again name the defendants and their mailing addresses and all that pertinent information.
And the defendant was acting under authority under attorney at law. In other words, you list them.
Yeah.
So in other words, you would say the defendant was acting under authority. You have to use authority because, remember, if they're acting against you under authority.
So anyhow, this is the point that's going on about the conversation, is knowing your rights, number 1. I am getting ready to be posting here up on the Facebook walls for Oregon, where Oregon says clearly that if you have a driver's license, you can surrender your driving privileges. Each state has one of those paperwork in it where you could surrender your driving privileges. And we do have a police questionnaire too, that we put now too on the new.Oregon Trackers website. So we are making that available to people. We'll have this stuff my computer's locking up on me again, nothing new.
I just wanted people to understand, Ed, that the reason I was bringing this out the way I did was so that they pay attention to how the court paperwork is to be made out. If you vary from that, your case is going to get thrown out.
But don't forget, you have to put injured party in it too.
Well, that's why you're the plaintiff, Ed.
Yeah, but you have to state it, because you have done our research, and it clearly states in this structure.
Well, you got to remember, Ed, that we only touched on a small portion of what the court document pertains to. So people have to read the paperwork and comprehend exactly what it is the court is looking for. And yes, you do. You have to name yourself as the injured party, the corpus delicti. So we're just giving them a heads up as to what to look for if they go to court to file a claim or to whatever, sue somebody. They need to know the court paperwork. And that's where people are getting their cases thrown out, because they're not paying attention as to how to properly fill it out. Okay?
That's a fact. That is a fact. I got to crash my computer. I'll be back on my computer here in a minute. But the one thing is that right now what I'm posting up is for the state of Oregon how to relinquish your driver's license or privileges. And also, too, insurance liability that you need to fill out and file with the state. And each state has one. I haven't had the time to produce that for each state yet, because I'm still finishing up the instrument on the Vatican to the Pope to the Queen of England, the British government, to the federal government, who is the Queen of England, to the states. To the state, counties, and cities, how your courts work under their jurisdiction while you comply with it. So I have that completed up here in a couple more days, because I'm making sure I have all the T's crossed and the I's dotted. It's going to be a very lengthy factual history on the courts called the British Accreditation Registrar or Registry to the Queen of England. And that's why Abraham Lincoln was really assassinated. And everybody says, well, he was a bar attorney. He took an oath to the Constitution. He knew he was a bar attorney. He took an oath to the Constitution. He protected this country. Read his speeches of what he said about the bar and stuff. The people want to assume stuff without having knowledge. You hear something. I've already had people talked to me earlier today going off on different sites trying to tell me this, that, and the other thing, and I'm like, here's a fact. Does this comply with the actual law? And as soon as I get back up here, I'm going to read you federal law here in a minute after Dave is done. I'm going to read you federal law on the rights to travel. And this way you have the numbers in federal law. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, I had to step out, Dave, for a second. Ed,
okay.
For a second.
Anyhow, let me bring this up to you. Let me go to the federal law. Because this one here, so you get this, on Oregon State territory, because I don't like Oregon State's okay, but I will not speak the state of. The form is Oregon.gov, form DMV. The form number, even it's on the DMV website, the form number is 7206. Again, to relinquish your driving privileges in the state of Oregon to be lawfully to drive, not a commercial driver, is form number 7206. I will have that up on my site, the one for automobile liability insurance report. That is 7106 form. So on DMV website, for you to claim your liability and insurance is 7106. And Dave does have insurance. They do have what they call traveler's insurance, I found out. I'm trying to work with a couple of the insurance companies to see who's, trying to get the traveler structure they have to make sure it's publicized here as soon as I can. So that way we know who, what, why, and how. What insurance company is actually traveling and giving people rights compared to not giving people rights. So there are insurance companies out there that are standing up, that are actually successfully doing this stuff for we the people. But there is people that we have to verify. I would like to verify through that structure who, what, why, and how before I start giving any information out and start putting our foot in our mouth, because we want to verify that we know what the circumstances and the truth really are. And that's the bottom line, is knowing the truth and facts. And I'm working on my way back to find this other one on the federal laws, because I'm going to read you the federal law. I thought I put it back up on my other wall here, but I'm getting to that. I'm going to go back to, I'm looking for the Oregon state laws. I'm going to start reading you here in a second. Oregon state laws on the rights to travel. Okay, so you can see what Oregon state law is. Oregon State Recreational Vehicle for ORS 446.003.33. For your rights, optional title and registration insurance numbers. ORS 803.035. The other one is ORS 803.040. Optional title is 8.03.310. This is for optional titles. Okay, and you can type in on YouTube, me and another gentleman, Walker, walked through the Oregon State, the city of Toledo, the rights to travel. We walked them through that, and it's like interesting that people do not comprehend their rights. They are scared to stand up. It's like, we got people that end up being kidnapped and held for ransom, and everybody's out there, and what disturbs me about it is there are a lot of people out there today with their hand out using people's personal frustration on things, for their personal gain. Okay? there are people doing different things today, and they're doing it for personal gain. They ain't doing it because they care for you or anybody else. They don't give a damn. It's all for their personal gain. I got another one that you can type in on YouTube that I got posted. Police state, prove, and you can type this in on YouTube so you get it. I've got it up. I put it in the messenger too out there. Proof that police are government revenue agents with ticket quotas. Okay, they're revenue agents for the mayor and city council for their overspending. Okay, they don't care. These men and women will shoot you, murder you. They have no compassion. And it's time for men to start being men in this country instead of little girls. Most men are little girls in this country. They are, They're afraid to stand up. I just do what I'm told. Nazi Germany did the same thing. I did what I was told, and that was, and everybody's wondering why they got upset that they got terminated, shot, beheaded. Okay? And it's like, wake up, people. This is the point where you have to wake up. I even got videotape with me and Senator Arnie Roblin on YouTube that clearly states that they spent the uninsured motorist fund. Underinsured motorist fund is in your registration of all your vehicles. You're already insured by the state. Mandatory, its money is there. Okay? That's the point that they don't want you to know. They don't care if you know it. You know? Actually, they care if you know it because then you're standing up. But they don't want you to know that you have rights. Okay? And on the websites, I do have it with the 42 pages of the no law required and the license plates. And I do have the state of Oregon. Oh, my God. Now they're taking the rights to travel off the state of Oregon. Because they don't want you to know the truth. They're trying to turn this country into Nazi Germany. Already is. You're living a living hell by the Bible. Right now, today, you believe in that devil's book, you're living hell in it right now today. Guarantee it. That's what the Bible is, a living hell book. Anyhow, 41 CFR 302-9.1. All right, what is the authorities U.S. Code? This clearly states dealing with privately owned vehicles. Is a motor vehicle not owned by the government or used by the employee of his or her immediate family for permanent premium purposes and providing personal transportation? So what this means is clearly the government, this is a government vehicle or it's not a government vehicle. And years ago, I was actually working on a template setting up that I had conflicts with some people, and I didn't get a chance to finish it, and I want to get back to that someday. Because I was working on the template for each state in the Union, the 48 states, because Hawaii and Alaska technically are free territories, and they don't go by the Constitution, they don't go by no law, but man's law in those areas. Strictly 100% man law, and if you assault anybody, they take care of it. There is no jury, there is no judge. That's all a fraud that's presented and presented to the general public. There's a lot of fraud out there that is told to the public. You'll get all these people saying, I'm a judge this, I'm a cop this. Police do not have rights to tell you what to do. They are volunteers, and you have to remember, they are privileged personnel. That's all they are. They don't have authority over your life. You know, and there's a deal I'll be putting up on federal travel relations. You can print it up. It looks like it's about 200 pages. Okay? It walks you through the actual laws. Federal travel regulations and chapters and parts. So, I mean, this is the point. It's your responsibility to read these instructions. Okay? It's your responsibility to educate your children. Not the teachers. Are you back, Dave?
Yeah. Because I didn't know if you were going to eat that.
Okay, Dave's not back. Okay. So, but anyhow,
I'm back. I had it on mute. I'm sorry.
Okay, are you back? You want to get into it, or you want me to keep going?
Well, I think what you're talking about too also includes the Section 1983 for the duration of civil rights under violation of Rule 2075. The bankruptcy rule under Chapter 7, Section 727 of Title 11. The United States Code, Bankruptcy Code, under 18 U.S.C. crimes under Rule 4.8, attorney misconduct under violation of Title 28 U.S.C. 1331, because these attorneys misrepresent you all the time, jurisdiction in violation of 26 CFR, Section 1441-1, round brackets lowercase c, and round bracket 3, individual private party, and then under violation of Title 42 U.S.C. Section 1983 Civil Rights Action for deprivation of rights of Section 241, conspiracy against rights under violation of Rule 4.8, attorney misconduct for violation under Rule 2075. Again, under the bankruptcy rule, Chapter 7 of the Section 2072, rules of procedure and evidence power to prescribe A, B, and C constitute a securitization breach under violation of 42 U.S.C. 1985. Conspiracy to interfere with civil rights under the deprivation of rights under Title 18, Section 241, conspiracy against rights, conspiracy against to interfere with civil rights acting under authority of color of law or state law under violation of Title 28 USC Section 1331. You have to remember, Ed, every one of these courts are running a bond, use, and commodities fraud against you. And this is the laws they are violating. So, and I think this all ties into everything you've done.
Mm-hmm.
So, when people begin to study and they look at this section, and then there's a little footnote or something that you always have to check out each one of those little things to see what that adds, because they're not going to tell you what it is. They're going to just very simply put it in there, and then it's up to you to look it up. So whenever you have something listed on your laws and statutes, look up what they are really trying to tell you, because they don't want you to know the truth. And that's where it's conspiracy against your rights, conspiracy to interfere with your civil rights under color of law fraud. So every court, like I said, they bring you in so they can run a bond, commodities, and accuse fraud scheme against you. So that's the whole thing. It's all about money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to put this country further in debt.
That's right. By the way, when the prosecutor puts his bill to the clerk of the court for all the investigative work and everything that he has done, his office, he puts that to the clerk of the court. The clerk of the court don't want to pay it, so she gives it to the judge. The judge don't want to pay it, so he forces it off onto the defendant to pay it. That's the fraud scheme.
Conspiracy, too.
Exactly. They do not want people knowing this stuff.
You know, we get rid of that background noise.
Hey, the Supreme Court already ruled that every court's crooked, and here's why. We're giving it to you.
All participants are muted.
Thank you. If you want to speak up, star 1 or 1 star, something like that, you know, we'll bring you back in. But
Ed, that's only during Q&A session, and you guys wanted the floor completely open so people could ask questions.
Okay, no, I'm not arguing with you. That was my deal. We can put back on Q&A, so if somebody's got a question, they can come in. So
okay, Q&A it is.
Q&A session has started.
So if you got something, you can come in and speak up. Don't be bashful. You know, how do you think we learn? That's the whole point. It is about proper education.
To ask a question, to get on the queue, hit star 61, and I will let them know that they've got questions. And it looks like there's already a question. Do you want me to bring them in?
Oh.
Bring them in.
Okay. Caller, area code 304, you are unmuted.
Yeah, here they, they work under the 3 Fs, fear, fraud, and favor. And most times the favor is a deception. But what the West Virginia Supreme Court did is it gave 2012 rules, and their examples were in Latin. So they weren't very useful. And then when we didn't comply with the 2014 rules, they refused it. They gave us 2012 rules. That's exactly how they dealt with it. Now, how do you counter that?
You got to take it out to the federal court and change the court till you get a court that opens their door.
I'm aware of that, Ed, but it's expensive and it's time consuming. It takes your life.
So file the paperwork we have says you don't have to pay the court fees so long as you're lawful. It works.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the point. You know, you haven't sent me your email back, so I couldn't send you that. But I post that up all the time, and I found some new federal laws on fees, you know, that as long as you're lawful, you do not have to pay court fees. You know, and that is the point, getting this out on proper education. Yes, we know it's expensive. We've been duped into paying when we shouldn't be paying. It's not our responsibility to pay. And so you know that I will be finishing the letter up on the structure of children. I got several of them I'm going to do because the House and Senate just passed that all newborn children shall be DNA scanned without consent. So in other words, if they prick your kid's foot, your finger, or anything else, they're getting your DNA from your kid. So I got to put that in the structure when you file in the courts, you get your children to protect your bloodline. Remember, it's your bloodline you have to protect.
Yeah.
You know,
well,
yeah. As soon as you send me an email, I'll get you that other information on the courts.
I've got to get another phone, Ed. Mine's not, the USB plug isn't working properly. But anyway, yeah, I'll get it to you. But anyway, that was their little trick, is they switched the rules in the middle of the game and gave their examples in Latin, so you couldn't comply with.
No court ever tells you what law they're practicing against you when you enter court. So that's part of your responsibility to ask the court, what law are you practicing in this courtroom?
Yeah. Well, here in child cases, they do not allow a jury trial. That's the starter.
We have to file for one.
Their statute says that they will not allow a jury trial.
No, you file for it in court. You don't file by statute.
You have to file in a real court, in other words, because there's...
file in a real court. You got it, because statutes don't apply to bloodline Americans. Statute applies to persons and citizens and nationals.
Yeah.
I also discovered, to the gentleman on his question regarding a grand jury, if you're dealing with a criminal matter, you can request for a grand jury through the Attorney General's office, or the State Attorney's office, excuse me, not the Attorney General, through the State Attorney's office. You can go through them if you're dealing with a criminal matter and request for a grand jury trial.
Well, the grand jury here is selected by the judge.
No, that's a 6-man jury. If you file and get your 12-man, you select them.
Yeah.
It's knowing how to do it.
You also have to go through your state attorney if you are dealing with a criminal matter on your case, regarding your case. You can also go through your state attorney's office and file for a grand jury, common law grand jury trial.
Well, what they did, Michelle, is they filed a criminal charge with no intent of ever acting on it. Then they appointed a state caseworker to be the complaining witness, paid her to be the complaining witness, even though she had never seen the baby, the mother, or the things she spoke of.
I've been through the case before, but the point is going back in and filing it correctly.
Okay.
That's the problem. What I've noticed with a lot of those that have addressed the court and have addressed the papers, what they're forgetting to do is request to move the court forward with a motion and an order. You have to give that.
Don't use a motion. You'll lose every time. You use an affidavit by federal law. Look at federal law and with the difference of a motion and an affidavit by federal court law.
You have to in your paperwork. You have to file a motion and an order to the judge. It's a request. When you say a motion,
no, it's an affidavit fact, and you commanded a motion. The judge can dismiss. I have the federal court cases to back it up.
Hold on. There was an argument happening, and I'm muted. I will mute you both.
Thank you.
No, this is not an argument place. This is a place where you get information out. And so interrupting Ed is not helpful.
I know.
So I'm going to unmute. I'd rather chew you out, Ed, than to chew out Michelle. But effectively, let her finish, and then you can add yours. And if she is polite, she will let you add yours, okay? After she's done.
Well, basically, what Michelle was trying to tell you was the procedure that you are to use in court in order to get things moving forward. You have to have something for the judge to move on before he can do so. So if you don't comprehend that, then, you're wasting your time. So pay attention to the court documents. I'll tell you what, Google cases similar to yours and read how you file them. There's the best education you can get.
But, yeah, and I like to add, it's an affidavit of demand for motion.
Well,
the way the federal...
all in the court record that everything you do in the court is an affidavit. Civil procedure.
Thank you. That's correct.
Under penalty of perjury, or you don't, you can't swear under penalty of perjury because you're not in court. So according to the best knowledge, etc., make this affidavit of truth, etc., etc. We've got it out there on the web. People can look it up. Do not go under penalty of perjury because perjury requires an oath. I do solemnly swear to tell the truth.
Well, I know here what they do is they seal the record and remove the affidavits and do whatever they want to do. And so these courts will not work. It's obvious that there's no court here. You're dealing with criminals.
Justice in your court is what you're saying.
There's what?
You cannot get justice within your court system.
Yeah, the judge here has been in office for 36 years. He has one oath of office and he's paid one bond, and the state, because he's their executive administrator, has continued his bond for the remaining 32 years.
Wow.
So he's the executive administrator for the state. He does what the state wants, and he really doesn't care about anything else.
Right. And he's committing treason.
Yes, but it doesn't matter. He goes and gets his case of beer every night and goes home and goes to sleep after he finishes his case of beer.
Sure.
So,
did you file
anyway, I'll get off here. You can go ahead and mute me out.
Did you file a motion to vacate the judgment?
Not yet. It wouldn't do any good with, I did file a motion to vacate the judgment, and I filed notice that the Supreme Court had committed misprison of felony, and they put it in the trash can.
Okay, so now you send them a notice of dishonor, and you can take them to and sue their little butts.
Give a notice of dishonor and what?
You have to point out the fraudulent act that they have committed.
You point out that they have committed, get the judgment, then you face it in court against them for obstruction.
Well, I have the proof. I have the proof of the conspiracy to obstruct justice.
Yeah.
I have that ex parte letter that was written to the judge, and the four parties acted upon it. But there was nobody here that would accept charges against the actors of the state. And the U.S. Marshal told me that he would only accept charges against the actors of the state if actors of the state brought them.
Well, that's because the U.S. Marshal is there to protect the court. You're going to have to move up the chain of command to the FBI.
I tried that. Didn't work.
Didn't work either?
Nope.
Well, our justice system is really screwed up. There, one thing we got to learn on this call is if we're quoting their law, their statute, their everything, the Constitution and everything else, and the corporation seem to think there's nothing that we can do to get any kind of justice, and whatever we do, they're going to interfere with. Then there's an old statute. It's a legal maxim: when the law of man does not prevail, the law of nature must. So, lock and load, people. Make your own justice.
They seem to want to shoot you for that.
Well, you have the right to shoot back, right? It's
right.
Self-defense.
Right. Anyway, I'm going to have to sit down and file it all again. And I'll run it for you guys before I do this time.
Okay.
But anyway, thanks a lot for your time, and go ahead and mute me out. Let somebody else get in here.
Thanks for your question.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else?
There is currently nobody else in the Q&A. Somebody just jumped in, so here we go, 281.
Good evening, David and Ed. This is David Brister. My question is on relinquishing your driver's license. I noticed on for 7206A for Oregon, it only gives two boxes, but for Texas, number 174, it gives 4, and I'm not really sure which one would I check. It says no longer wish to be licensed to drive a motor vehicle upon streets or highways, or physically qualified, licensed to be a motor vehicle because of motor vehicle liability insurance, or no longer wish to have identification card. Does it really matter which one I check?
Yeah, if you check the middle one up, that's what you're saying, that you are medically incompetent, you're incapable of traveling. That's what the middle one means. So you want to basically, number one is basically you're relinquishing your rights to a driver's license. So that way you don't have the license as a privilege, you're taking back your rights. Would you agree with that one, Dave, or what's your thought?
Well, I don't know exactly what his circumstances are, but I would say check all of them. That way you're not overlooking anything.
Well, because in Oregon they have a separate form on that, what he read in the middle one in the state of Oregon says mentally or physically incompetent to drive a vehicle or medically disabled to drive a vehicle, and that's where they have the one here in Oregon. It's a separate form. But see, the way that one reads to me, if you check all of them, and I'll get the other one dug up for Oregon eventually again, because I had it. Excuse me, I didn't save it when I checked it, but I had it open when I did the other. And the middle one in Oregon is what you're saying on the second one. So to me, when you check that, they're saying that you're incompetent, your body-wise, mentally, to travel.
Well, that scares me to hell, Ed. Because, number one, why would you want a mentally ill person behind the wheel of a vehicle?
I'm not arguing with you on that one. I don't want a crazy son of a gun behind the wheel either.
Well, that's what you're admitting to.
In the middle one, yes. The top one, read it again, Dave.
Okay, the first one says, I no longer wish to be licensed to drive a motor vehicle upon the streets and highways. The second one says, I no longer physically qualified and or mentally alert to safely operate a motor vehicle upon the streets and highways. And the third one says, I no longer wish to be licensed to drive a motor vehicle because motor vehicle liability insurance reasons. And the fourth one is, I no longer wish to have an identification card.
Yeah, see, that's like when you fill out a arms request, like in the state of Oregon. You have that in your states, don't you, Dave, where you fill out a questionnaire if you're purchasing an arm?
I don't know, Ed. I have never purchased an arm.
Oh, okay, not from a dealer or something like that. Okay, because see, the way I comprehend it is the one where it says that if you're physically or mentally not capable, okay, that's like what they put in the gun verification check they do, at least in Oregon, Washington, and California. And if you check that, you are mandatorily denied a firearm when you purchase one. Because you're saying you're mentally and physically incapable and incompetent to handle your circumstances.
I think number 1 or 4.
I would say number 1, 3, and 4, because you don't want an ID card of theirs. Because unless their ID card is giving you your rights, but the second one is, to me, is the entrapment one that will give you. Because you want to relinquish your rights to the state to own you. So, and my thoughts would be 1, 3, and 4.
Yeah, I would go with 1 or 4. I'm not so sure about the other one.
Yeah, well, can you copy that and send it to me and Dave so we can evaluate that and I can make some phone calls on it and do a little research too? And we can always bring that back to the table too.
Yeah, sure. That's not a problem. The only reason I was asking is because, as y'all said, getting a firearm or going to court, saying something like that, if they could dig it up and find out that you have checked that, and then they could use it against you in court or keep you from getting a firearm because you say that you're not mentally alert or able to handle a vehicle, then you're not able to handle a firearm or take care of a child, is why I was asking.
Bingo, you just stated it. That's how Oregon works, and when people put that on their when they buy a vehicle, that's exactly what they do in Oregon, and that's how they take the kids because you admit you're incompetent.
That's entrapment, by the way.
Oh, yeah, it is.
So, like I said, 1 and 4 is good to me, but I would definitely stay away from anything that's stated mentally ill or incompetent or anything like that. I would not check that box on a bet.
Yeah, absolutely. I would not check it myself. I wouldn't put myself in that liability.
I appreciate y'all's input on that, and I yield.
Just remember, as a bloodline American, okay, if your ancestry goes back to the founding fathers, you have a right to bear arms. That's a right guaranteed in the Constitution. You don't need their friggin' permission to bear arms. That's an act of treason on part of Congress and any state legislature who says, oh, you have to give our permission to bear arms, to carry, conceal, whatever, because it's our right, not a privilege.
Mm-hmm. And that's like immigration. When they become fifth generation in this country, they have a constitutional right, no privilege anymore. You know, that's why the 1938 Foreign Administration Registration Act, you know, even immigration are supposed to get a concealed license permit and register. That's where concealed license originated from. And so that's what next Monday we're going to go through the Foreign Administration Registration Act. I'm working for the following week trying to get a hold of a gentleman to see if he'll join us for the show too, what I'm hoping for. You know.
Do you have any more questions?
Anything else? I'm going back to lecture mode. Or do you want me to leave it open completely for anybody to say anything they want?
Open in case somebody wants to jump in and has a thought or something. We can do it that way.
So close down Q&A and go open mic, or just keep on Q&A?
Keep on Q&A. That way they can come in if they have a question.
We can go open mic.
You want to go open mic then?
Yeah, if everybody, if they have a question, just have them state question, and then we'll.
Okay, I will.
Here's something that Michelle just brought out to me, and it's the Fifth Amendment prohibits converting private property to a public use or a public purpose without just compensation if the owner does not consent, and this prohibition applies to the federal government as well as the state of the Union. It was made applicable to the State of the Union by the 14th Amendment in 1886. The U.S. Code defines the term United States, Title 5, USC, Section 5911, Title 5, Part 3, Subpart D, Chapter 59, Subchapter 11, Head, Section 5911. Quarters and facilities, employees in the United States, Statute A, for the purpose of this section, 4, United States means the several states, the District of Columbia, and the territories and possessions of the United States, including the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico. Now that is a piece of bullshit, because the 28 USC at 3002 definition 15 means that the United States is a federal corporation. So are we a federal corporation, or are we, as what this says, Title 5, Section 5911, Title 5, Part 111, Subchapter D, Chapter 59, Subchapter 11, Head, Section 5911. This is in our favor. Quarters and facilities of employees in the United States Statute A, for this purpose section, United States means the several states. If it means the several states, that means it is a republic, not a democracy. So there's one to think about.
Yeah, Dave, we need to get that published.
I'll send it to you.
So we can get that put in paperwork too. And then I want to bring your guys' attention to 18 USC 951. Agents and federal governments. This is what I'm talking about, the Foreign Registration Act. Okay, remember, these guys are foreign registrator acts of committing crimes against we the people. They are liable. And you have to remember, these are elected and public servants. They are not government. They are not gods. They are not queens. And Trump even came out and said in his speech after he took over as president, and if anybody really listened, he completely stated he was the president of a corporation. So I'm going to be posting this other stuff up. I am still looking for the forms from FARA, and we'll get to that next week, because hopefully I'll have the forms that I can be able to put up, so when you have a conflict, you can actually file on the public servant the forms for them to prove with their register and their standing.
And isn't it funny, Ed, that everything that we do, they want us to do it under penalty of perjury, but they themselves, when they accuse us, don't put it under penalty of perjury?
Exactly.
What's wrong with that picture?
Yeah, that's scary as hell when you think they could get away with it. And they are getting away with it.
So the next time you're in court and the guy shoots his mouth off, is just say, "Excuse me, Your Honor, would you put that under penalty of perjury?"
That's a good point.
What's his affidavit relating to that?
You know,
and the prosecutor's a hearsay witness against you, so you can recluse him right away.
Absolutely.
So then if there's nobody to testify against you, gee, I guess you win your case, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Golly gee.
So anyway, I'm going to put a couple of these links up on the actually we'll get them on the other link too here on new.org and trackers, so people could sit there and go through it, because I'll get some of this set up on it, you know. Well, this is what the rights to travel to under Foreign Administration Registration Act. These public servants are supposed to be registered. A police officer has to be registered. Go ahead, Dave, I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say they most certainly do have to be registered as foreign agents because of what Roosevelt did in the Trading with the Enemies Act. They're the foreign agent, not us. So your elected and public servants, once they take the oath of office, gee, they become the foreign agents. So don't they have to register under the Foreign Registration Act?
That's the point, yes. And that's the point.
That means they're not qualified to run for public office, doesn't it?
Nope.
So they just hung themselves.
Well, not only that, if they're an attorney, they can go to prison for it.
That's right. No argument here.
And so that's the main point, people. It's your responsibility to do this. Yours.
You always want to file a criminal complaint with your paperwork going into court.
Well, and one way go ahead, Dave.
Your duty is to report all crimes to the nearest court.
Not police court.
And I'll tell you what these courts are doing. You file the criminal complaint, it gets ignored, and that is called shoving it into the paperwork, into File 13. That's called obstruction. So if the minute the judge does not present that to the U.S. attorney for prosecution, he is committing treason. These boys better wake up, because we're on to them and we're not going to shut up. They wrote it, we quote it.
Absolutely. And that is the point, folks. We're all in this together.
Michelle just sent you that quote, Ed.
Oh, thank you, Michelle. Email. Okay, thank you. We'll get that up, because I'm going to be getting some other stuff up for next week on Foreign Registration Act, because this is the point that we need to know the difference. And when you're filing in court and you want to move something, and that is called a motion, but you have to do a motion, an affidavit of demand motion. You have to demand the judge to do it. You cannot be kind. This is the point. People say, oh, be kind. I'm telling you, if you be kind, you won't get nothing. I've started not being kind. And then all of a sudden, my stuff started moving. Things start going on. Of course, now they're deleting some of my stuff off the Congressional House and Senate records and stuff. I'm finding out I'm being deleted off of the public evidence rosters and stuff, because they're realizing what I've been putting on the Oregon State House and Senate and filing what I've been doing for 23 years is actually true. The Democrats, including the governor, Kate Brown herself, used to laugh at me and thought it was a joke and I was crazy. Now they're finding out, oh shit, he's been telling the truth the whole time.
Yeah.
You know, I love it when you sneak up on people. You know, that's why I won't go by what they say.
Correct.
You know, remember, technically, and if you really believe in yourself, we own the courts. We, the lawful bloodline people, own the courts.
That's true.
We have elected public servants under Article of the Treaty of 1871. Go ahead, Dave. I think I jumped on you on that one.
Fine. I was just saying, do your history. Study it. And when you do start hammering these guys, trust me, they're going to panic like they are right now, because they're finding out that, oh my God, these guys are telling the truth.
And also, too, when they say, oh, I didn't know this, well, excuse me? You tell people who come to court. What was that, Dave?
I say, what do you go to law school for? Drink?
Well, not only that, but don't they tell people if you don't know the law, I'm putting you in jail?
Well, if you're ignorant of the law is no excuse, but that only applies to people who studied law.
Right.
But they don't tell you that. They do not tell you that.
Don't tell you.
How can you be a professional in law when you were never taught it in high school or through your 12 years of school, or once you got out? Unless you became an attorney or a lawyer through law school, you never studied law. How do they expect you to know law?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us are digging into the law since it can't be licensed, and we're digging it out and finding out things for ourselves, which, by the way, we're filing better paperwork into court than the attorneys are, and it's pissing the judges off.
Yeah, we know that. You know.
But people, if you have a court case, do not give up. Never give up. Never give up. Never give up. Never give up. Continue to hammer them. They send you back a response. You look at the response. You say, okay, take a breath. Now, what is it that they're trying to tell me here? And when they state their supposed reason, which is not a claim, a reason for them to do what they do, just remember, you do not have to honor their contract offer because, number one, they didn't file the lawsuit. They don't have a right to dismiss it.
Mm-hmm.
It's your case. You own it. So you do not accept their contract offer. And if they've switched your Rule 12 against that you normally had up there, go back and reinstate it. Say, I filed this under Rule so-and-so, this Federal Rules of Civil Procedure or Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure, and that is what I intend to do. You cannot switch my paperwork because you just committed a crime against me. And that is obstruction. Once they comprehend what's going on, and you know, or they know you're on to what they're doing, things should start changing in this country. Because you're now going to hold the judge accountable because he's not the court. He's an administrator who cannot give orders, by the way, because he's a pseudo-corporate court.
Well, that's interesting. Dave, it won't let me to open your PDF file.
You won't let me open my PDF file?
Oh, the other Dave that was sending us to deal with...
Oh, okay. I thought you meant me.
No. It said, Of course, Dave, that's fine. You could use what we use on that. That's fine. We don't have a problem using that. You know, but, yeah, it won't let me open up a PDF file right now. And thanks, Michelle, I got it. I'm putting this, so Michelle, you know, I'm putting that actually into the instrument with the judges and cops. I mean, the judges and attorneys. Good. Yeah, it won't let me open up the PDF file.
Crazy. Did you download it first?
No, Michelle just cut and pasted. I'm talking about what Dave sent me, Dave Brewster.
I'm talking about what Dave sent you. Did you download it first?
I don't know what he did. But it's telling me, If you could just send me the link for the state Texas deal, the links that are directly involved, I could get that going. It's too bad this gentleman didn't join us tonight. I would love to hear some more of his points of view. But, you know, let me explain one thing. Like the news said, oh, they're going after the cop, and they're going to try to cover up because this guy went after him with his own arm. His own arm, went to his truck, grabbed, if you watch the video, he went to the truck, grabbed out a sidearm, I don't know what caliber it was, pulled the hammer back, loaded it. You can see him loading it. So that's attempted murder right there.
Yes, that most certainly is.
You know?
I'm surprised the guy laughed and drove away.
Oh, yeah, but that's attempted murder right there. Very disturbing. And the state attorney general's going, oh, well, they're going to handle it. They're going to cover it up, guy. They are going to cover it up. Okay? You know, actually, that's a good point. I haven't defragged my computer lately. That is a good point. Thanks, guys.
Well, one thing that I'm concerned about most generally about all this stuff that's taken place is that why is it being covered up? I mean, this guy virtually deliberately violated the law, and that guy's his right to travel rights by even making an attempt to stop him for no apparent reason other than he thought he was going too fast.
Well, the other point is he stopped to let the guy go first, which was fine. It was very courteous of the gentleman. You know, nobody could argue the courteous and kindness. He stopped and let the guy go first, and then the guy comes out and starts threatening him with a sidearm because
that's bullshit.
Going too fast. I don't give a shit if you claim that you're God. You have no rights to tell anybody what they're doing if there's no injured party.
That's right.
No injured party have no rights to speak.
That's your Hale versus Hinkle.
Yep, and I even have the other court cases that Dave and I have filed that clearly states it doesn't matter if you run a stop sign. They can't interfere with your rights to travel.
That's right.
You know, and then you got all these people who are very uneducated and unintelligent, and they go, well, he threatened somebody, or then they go through, and I always love when people moronic statements. He couldn't, buddy. The bottom line is yes or no. Did he or did he not? Living in
doesn't matter if he could. Anything could hurt somehow. You actually do it, that it counts.
That's true. I mean, a fart can hurt somebody by the odor.
Sure.
Did it cause them physical harm?
No.
Actually, that one because they had extremely weak stomach.
Some people in this country seem to think they're better than thou. You know what I mean?
Oh yes. No, we've actually.
They don't look at the statute. They don't look at the code. They don't look at the court rulings. Just like the IRS, they're trained in code, not law. They're a bunch of idiots, incompetent jackasses. And I don't care if I say that 1,000,000 times. They are what they are. They think because, and by the way, they are rewriting the IRS code book. We did notice that today when we were going through the documents, like 6331. They're leaving the letter A out and other parts of it. The alphabet ahead of it, like A, Part B. And they're combining the two, but they're not telling the truth as far as what the law actually stated before and after. So when we get the IRS code today, it reads entirely different than what it did in 2002. But since I used the 2002 IRS code book, I'm grandfathered in on any changes.
Yeah, and that's the point, too, folks. You want to grandfather yourself in. They say it doesn't exist. It sure the hell does. And that is a good point, Dave. We need to get the code books, and if anybody could, dig them up going back in years so we could get them PDF filed and downloaded and saved, and we could compare them with others. That's what we need to do.
Yeah. So another thing that needs to be done is people who are writing affidavits and they're unrebutted, we need to start a website to where they can download those to that website so other people can read them and use them.
Mm-hmm.
Because they won't register these in the county recorder's office. I've tried.
You are online.
Go ahead, Speaker.
Yeah, Ed, on that Foreign Registration Act, it was on last week on C-SPAN where the House was discussing it about these lawyers, and they were saying the percentage of them mostly don't even register. It was only like 4% that are even registered at all. The thing is that from what also I've read or heard is that it's got too many loopholes in it. I mean, if I go to court trying to hold someone to it, these like officers, lawyers, judges, are they going to find a way to get out of it? Is there any way to actually hold their feet to the fire?
Yes, and that's what I'm trying to get the other forms. I'm trying to find the original forms. I had them once on my old site, and I've noticed that since Obama's been in office, because I really haven't looked at the site in about 9 years, 10 years, and I'm going through it now, and I realize I'm trying to find the form structures, because they used to have printable forms to file on mayor, city council. They had them so you could file on a police officer, judge, and attorney. And that's what I'm trying to find them right now is what I'm actually looking for. Because,
on the federal rules, I think you'll find the forms.
Huh?
On the federal rules booklet. The federal rules booklet. You'll find the forms there.
Oh, wait a minute. Let me go type in federal rules booklet.
2012 or 2016?
Around 2016.
Well, if you got it, email it to me, and I'll get it on the sites right now.
You do have it. Michelle said you do have it. She sent it to you already.
Yeah, but that was a while back ago. Right now, I'm, 5,000 emails behind, and if she's got it, we could get it posted and get set up to get it up there right now.
The listeners on the call can Google it.
No, I'm
Google it.
Get it on because I like to do it and start filing on people.
Yeah.
Federal Rules Handbook, got that. We'll get that one going. I don't want to go buy it off of Amazon and shit because I know it's free because I have the Federal Rules booklet. I know I have the free copy. It's on our site. We know that. We do have the free copy of it, but I want the forms is where I'm looking at.
Okay. That should give you everything.
Well, I know. I'm just trying to get it. I'm trying to look at it right now. I need the forms is where I'm after. The forms we need to get up for people. Okay? And, I mean, we get it up. I could use it right now to start filing on the governor and people. So... I'm not paying these people $3,000 for consulting fees on bullshit. Oh shit! I shouldn't have closed that site down. I should have saved it because I had to pay fees in the registration of every government agency. First time I ever saw that one. But yeah, we're going to be working on getting some of this stuff put up on the site so you guys can get to it. I mean, we want to make it easy for everybody. That's our job in life, to make it easy. Because that way it makes it easy for us when we go back and forth on this stuff. I mean, we're supposed to be putting it so it's easy for everybody. When we say this, they can go click right now on the site and get it. We're not supposed to be acting and treating people as children. We're supposed to be adults. Let's start acting like adults.
Well, they have the information so they can act like adults and do their research.
I'm not doing the research. I'm doing the research right now. I'm trying to find...
I'm saying the listeners, Ed, not you. The listeners can do the research.
Forms are not there.
We're not on the call?
I just went through 30 sites and the forms are not there. I'm doing the research right now. I suggest the forms are not there. I do have a federal rule book right now, PDF, I'll be posting up on our sites. And this is effective December 1, 2007. The one we got right now, we were going to save that and compare it. But I do not find the forms to file.
There's not a link to forms?
What I've been saying.
How to address the forms, because every case is different. But they're there.
Okay. Michelle said every case is different.
We want to get it with Dave. We want to get the forms so that way we have them downloaded. So when they do remove them off the structure, we have them.
All right, I comprehend what you're saying, Ed.
Okay. Because I get now. I know I have the free copy of the Federal Rule Booklet, 2017. I have to go back in my filings. I've got a free copy right now that I will be posting up right now of the 2007. So anybody's listening right now can pick it up and utilize it right now. So I'm putting that right now on the sites right now, on the Facebook sites.
Ed, look at Federal Rules of Civil Procedure.
They have to address the...
Okay, and once you click on that on your web search, on the right-hand side, all of that stuff pops up.
Right now I'm posting up the stuff on the pages, getting that done.
Okay.
Each case is different. You have to address the document, but it tells you how to address the document. Just like I did with my case. That criminal complaint. That's how I learned how to do that document. That's how, with the cover sheet. Da-da-da-da-da. There's this page. I'm going to put it on Facebook right now. Tell Ed I'm putting it on Facebook.
We're gonna send this to you on Facebook, Ed.
Okay, thank you. Then we'll get this up for everybody too. So this way you got it. We're getting it on the Facebook now. So that way, and now you've got it. Now you can start doing your educational and study. Let me find the other one I was just working on. So I got the one in 2007 I am posting on. We'll get the other stuff so you can start comparing. And please, folks, when you get this, download it so you have it. Save it, don't lose it.
Most definitely.
Because they are changing. Go ahead, Dave.
No, I just said most definitely. Make sure you save it and print it out if you can.
I have put it on Facebook.
Yeah, because they are changing things across the state. In the state of Oregon in 2000, they changed the Oregon Blue Book in contract with the British government, claiming that the state of Oregon is a democracy state now, and to comply basically with the British, and that they own the land, the people don't own their own land anymore.
They just committed an act of treason.
Well, I know, I got to write it up and file on that, and then I want to take them to court. That's the next one. But one thing at a time, you know what I mean?
Correct.
One thing at a time.
Anything that they claim to be a democracy is treason against the Constitution. End of story.
Yes,
and we have their oath to support and defend the Constitution.
Hmm. Yes, and we do even have that too, where it even states that we are a republic form of government and Republican form of government. They have it quoted as republic and Republican form of government.
Right. Every state is guaranteed a Republican form of government, not a democracy.
Yeah, and that's the point. We don't want to sit there and sell our children short, or your children. My children are dead. So, I don't have a bloodline, so...
Right.
People say, why the hell would you do that, Ed? Well, I'm just one of those stupid men that care for people.
Correct. Well, I'll tell you what, buddy, it's 10 o'clock.
Okay, so you're saying you're...
Do we have anything else tonight? Do you have anything else tonight?
I think that's where we were going. I was trying to see, I didn't see, where did you put that, on my Facebook wall, or which one did you put it on, Michelle?
On the internet.
We were going to do it, but now they've knocked us off the internet, so we're going to have to wait for a while and then get back on and then send it to you.
Okay, all right.
I wouldn't understand why they would want to block that.
Who knows? Who knows? Well, you know, the thing is that they're getting weirded out because people are waking up. I mean, I know people that I've been talking to, many people are going, I'm just going to throw in the towel. It doesn't make no sense. They're not doing anything. And it's like either you're educating your kids or you're going to set your land up to your children or you're not doing anything for anybody.
That's right.
You know, and it's either you're protecting yourself and your children or you're sitting there going to put your children in enslavement, and then you're saying that you don't have a right to collect rainwater and grow food. If the shit really hits in the world, which is going to probably more likely hit, okay, that's why if you don't file on your land, claim it as yours, set it up to be self-sufficient, so that way you don't have to be out and part and play all the damn games, they're not going to screw with you. Don't forget, folks, 5-6 years ago, they were putting different color tags on your mailboxes, and they registered you as who was to go to a FEMA camp, who was supposed to be continually working.
My, oh my, oh my.
That was a true fact they were doing. That was the orders of Obama.
Nice guy, Obama.
Oh, yeah, sweet guy. You know, and I love these people going, Obama this, Obama that, and it's like, are you guys that crazy and stupid?
Yes.
That's true, they are.
Anybody for democracy?
Anybody said democracy? So your Democratic Party, democracy. That's why I call them Democratics.
Democratic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that is...
Constitution, they couldn't care less about it.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know what I wish? People who wanted to kiss the ass of the Queen would just pack their bags and get the hell out of the country.
Yeah, go. Like Madonna.
Democracy, pack
England.
your bags and get the hell out.
Miley Cyrus finally went to England. Thank God. Go to England. Get the hell out of here.
Hey, go to Scotland. I don't care where you go.
That's true.
Just get out of here and leave us alone. We're perfectly content with the Republic.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. We are definitely...
Anyway, that's my feeling on it.
Gotcha.
Well, Ed, I'll tell you what, I'm about ready to call it quits for tonight.
All right. Well, you call it quits. I'll see if anybody's got anything else, and I think we'll wrap it up. And you both have a blissful and wonderful evening. And then we'll catch up with you guys a little later.
We're going to have some cheese and crackers and summer sausage to nibble on here in a little bit.
There you go. I haven't got to that point of eating food yet. Last thing I had was breakfast. That's primarily all I do is 2 meals a day, so.
Right.
You know, so.
I only did 2 meals a day.
Well, at least I'm glad I got 2 meals a day. That's better than 1 meal or no meals.
Well, that's true. That's true.
You know, that's the way I internally look at it.
Right. Well, let's
go. So, but yeah, we'll get some more of this stuff up for everybody because I'm looking forward to those forms because as long as I get those damn forms, I can start filing on the governor and the House of Representatives. And I'm doing this stuff, folks. That's why they love me. That's why I started the recall on the governor. That's why I filed the entrapment charges on these people. And then when I when I get the structure finished up for the stuff on the court, if you read the stuff I filed on police departments, wait till you see what I've got coming up on the registration for the court systems. It's going to shock the shit out of you, and it's going to scare the hell out of the court systems because when I get this finished up shortly, they can't run and hide.
Well, here's the thing, Ed, and I put this to the U.S. Court of Claims. As a bloodline American, I demand a constitutional court with a constitutional judge with a constitutional oath of office and a constitutional bond.
Exactly, and that's what I got to do, and I need your email on that one because that's what I got to file on mine so I can get that going.
Okay.
Because I want to get that going because I'm in that car wreck I was in last year. I'm getting ready to get that starting to write. I haven't got the paperwork, but then I finally found out some more damage to the spinal cord from that wreck. So I'm just coming to the grips of that whole structure. So, you know, like nerve damage and stuff. So, does anybody else have any questions or thoughts or something like that before we call it a wraps tonight? I wish the gentleman would have joined us from Alaska, but that sort of, you know, he's got to deal with his stuff, and he's probably told not to talk and do that. He probably ended up with an attorney.
Hey, Ed and David.
Huh?
I said Ed and David.
Yeah, go
ahead. My son-in-law was over here the other night, and he brought up a good point. He was at work the other day, and this character who works with him says, "Why would you want to be a Republican? I'm a Democrat." Scott says, "Oh, you are?" He says, "Yeah." So he walked over, I had a full Pepsi can in front of him. He took it. He said, "Hey, you got my Pepsi can." No, talk on now. If you're a Democrat or you're going to be a socialist, this is not yours. This is mine.
Oh.
What was his response to that one?
He just sat there sputtering.
That he did. I got to remember that the next Democrat I come across.
Right.
Well, I love it when that is in family, too, to open up the eyes in the family when that happens, too.
Yep.
You know.
About let my ass off.
That was good. You tell Scott I like that.
Yeah.
I bet it was Scott too, wasn't it?
Yep, it were.
I knew it had to be him. Oh, good. Next time I see him, I'll give him an extra handshake.
There you go.
Yep.
Oh, wonderful. Well, anybody else have any comments? Guess not.
Well, I guess we'll just wrap it up tonight. We've almost got 2.5 hours in, so that would work. You know, that would work, so we'll just call it a night, and I'll let Dave end up closing, and I'll just say that Dave and I are not attorneys, we're not lawyers, we are not part of any systematic structure that is out for personal and financial gain. If anybody will be setting up an 800 number and stuff like that here, we're working on that. If people would like to donate, we'll have a deal that it goes right to the corporation, so that way it works that way. So that way it keeps us free of any democratic attacks. And so may the Great Spirit and Mother Earth and Creator bless you, and travel safe with the Great Spirit. And remember, without Mother, you have no food, you have no water, or life.
So true. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been another interesting evening here at the OK Corral, where our research is passed on to you because they wrote it and we quote it. So take to heart what we've said. Hopefully we've educated you in a few things, a few principles, a few laws, statutes, codifications, whatever, that you can use to benefit and protect your assets. After all, is not a tax protester one who uses the law to protect his assets. But they want to make you out as a bad guy because you question their fraud scheme. So, with that in mind, may the Great Spirit follow you, bless you, preserve and keep you. Until next Monday, this is Dave signing off. Good night.
Well, I remember a teacher that I had. Now, I went through the 7th grade. I went to the 7th grade. I left home when I was 10 years old because I was hungry. And I used to, this is true. I work in the summer and I go to school in the winter. But I had this one teacher. He was the principal of the Harrison School in Vincennes, Indiana. To me, this was the greatest teacher, a real sage of my time, anyhow. He had such wisdom. And we were all reciting the Pledge of Allegiance one day. And he walked over, this little old teacher, Mr. Laswell was his name. Mr. Laswell, and he says, I've been listening to you boys and girls recite the Pledge of Allegiance all semester, and it seems as though it's becoming monotonous to you. If I may I recite it and try to explain to you the meaning of each word. I, me, an individual, a committee of one, pledge, dedicate all of my worldly goods to give without self-pity, allegiance, my love and my devotion to the flag, our standard, Old Glory, a symbol of freedom. Wherever she waves, there's respect, because your loyalty has given her a dignity that shouts freedom is everybody's job. United. That means that we have all come together. States, individual communities that have united into 48 great states. 48 individual communities with pride and dignity and purpose. All divided with imaginary boundaries, yet united to a common purpose, and that's love for country. And to the republic, a state in which sovereign power is invested in representatives chosen by the people to govern. And government is the people, and it's from the people to the leaders, not from the leaders to the people, for which it stands. One nation, meaning so blessed by God, indivisible, incapable of being divided, with liberty, which is freedom, the right of power to live one's own life without threats, fear, or some sort of retaliation. And justice, the principle or qualities of dealing fairly with others. For all, which means, boys and girls, it's as much your country as it is mine. And now, boys and girls, let me hear you recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Since I was a small boy, 2 states have been added to our country, and 2 words have been added to the Pledge of Allegiance: under God. Wouldn't it be a pity if someone said that is a prayer, and that would be eliminated from schools too?
To Disclaimers by Davidlee Buess and Edward Johnston. It is July 31st, 2017, and it is currently